Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll be doing one more exercise on para summary questions. So some advanced level questions are being discussed in this particular exercise. So pay attention. We'll straight away go to the questions. This first question, read the passage, understand it well, go through the options, use the techniques that we have discussed in the previous videos and try to find out an answer. So the passage is discussing about empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is the better version of sympathy. What is sympathy? When you try to understand another person's feelings or emotions from your point of view, it is called sympathy. That means from your own shoes, you are trying to understand what the other person might be feeling. Whereas in empathy, you put yourself in the other person's shoes and then try to understand what he must be going through. That is called empathy. So empathy is a better version than sympathy, and it is more preferable to sympathy because sympathy means you are just trying to understand another person's feelings through your own perspective, whereas in empathy you are becoming that person, or you are trying to put yourself into the other person's shoes and then trying to live through the experiences that he's undergoing. Then you will get a better idea of what his feelings or his emotions are. This is called empathy, and the passage is discussing about empathy being a poor guide to social policy. That means empathy is not an effective tool in devising social policies. What are social policies? Any policies that are aimed for the development of the society. Such policies are called social policies. Why empathy is not advisable for devising social policies as per the author? Because it is biased. Bias means it is partial. Why? The explanation is given, we are more prone to feel empathy for attractive people, so our empathy is only selective. We don't feel empathy for all the people. We feel empathy when the person in question is attractive, or those who look like us, means they are similar to us or share our ethnic or national background. Means some people who are very good to look at, some people who are similar to us, or some people who are belonging to our own race or our own nation. We feel empathy towards such people. We are not capable of feeling empathy for all the people in general. That is why this is in narrow. That is, empathy is narrow. It connects us to particular individuals. So empathy cannot be felt for general or public by all the people. It is felt only for particular individuals. Those individuals could either be real or imagined, but it is insensitive to numerical differences and statistical data. Means we cannot feel empathy for all the poor people in the world, or all the people who are oppressed in the world, or the people who are undergoing certain kind of deprivations in the world. This kind of empathy, we are not programmed to have that kind of empathy. In human beings have a problem in understanding or having empathy or being sensitive to the feelings of all the people. That is why the passage says it is insensitive to numerical differences and statistical data. That is why one more example is given for this selective empathy. It says that Mother Teresa has very beautifully put it in a quote: if I look at the past, I will never act. If I look at the one, I will. That means if I feel, I will be able to feel empathy only towards one particular individual, and that empathy will make me do something to redress his problem, or to give his life or make his life a better one. If I look at all the people, I will not be feeling empathy, and I will not do any action any positive action to redress or to make their lives better. This is what Mother Teresa has stated, and laboratory studies and find that we care more about one than about the mass, so long as we have personal information. So our empathy is only for selective individuals based on various criteria that we have discussed, either beautiful people or people who look like us or share a ethnic or national background. So many kind of criteria are there, but our empathy is only felt towards specific individuals. We are not capable of feeling empathy towards the whole of lot of public in general. That is why the passage says that when devising social policies, this empathy is not a good tool to devise social policies because of this characteristic or feature of empathy. So this is the meaning of the passage. Now your question is to find a summary. So option A, public policies can be made more just and efficient if the stakeholders do away with empathy. So what is the statement here? It says that the public policies can be made more just and efficient if the stakeholder, who is a stakeholder, a person who has any interest or a person who has some vested interest in an issue is called a stakeholder. So it could be the person who is implementing the issue, or it could be the beneficiary, or it could be the other persons involved. So any persons involved in a particular process is called a stakeholder. So here in the case of public policies, who must be the stakeholders? The government as well as the beneficiaries. These are the stakeholders. So it says that if the stakeholders do away with empathy. What is doing away with empathy means? Completely eliminate empathy. So it says that public policies will become more efficient if empathy is completely eliminated. Is it stated in the passage, or can we treat it as a summary of the passage? See, the passage is saying that public policy cannot use empathy as an effective tool. But this option is saying that public policies will be more efficient if empathy is removed. So we don't know whether the policies will become more efficient or just if the stakeholders are removing empathy. That we don't know. We know that the empathy is not a good tool for devising public policies. But whether public policies will become more just and efficient just because empathy is removed, we don't know. This is a conclusion or a possible conclusion of the passage. It is not a summary of the passage. Anything that is that the author might be hinting at, or the author might be concluding, this statement can be that conclusion. But our question is to find a summary. Summary means whatever the author is clearly stating, those facts you have to summarize. So here this is not a summary, it could be a conclusion, because the passage, the option is saying that the policy could be efficient if stakeholders do away with empathy. We don't know whether the policies could be efficient or just. We only know that empathy is not a good tool for devising public policies. So that is why this option is not a good summary. Another reason is stakeholders do away with empathy, means stakeholders should not have empathy. See, the passage is talking not about the stakeholders having empathy or not having empathy. It is about the general public, people like you and me, having empathy or not empathy. And we are capable of having empathy only for specific individuals, not for the public, or not for the general mass of population who are having some kind of deprivation. So this option is talking about stakeholders removing empathy, means either the government or the beneficiaries not having any empathy. So that's not what the passage is saying. So because of these two reasons, this option cannot be a good summary. Then statement B, acknowledgement of the inherent biases and empathy will improve policies. Again, it says that the policies will get improved if we understand the inherent biases. Acknowledgement means understanding or accepting that there are certain biases in empathy will improve policies. Again, it is saying that if you understand and accept that there are certain biases in empathy and then devise policies, it will be better policies. No, the passage is saying that whenever you are using empathy as a tool for creating social policies, it may not be very good. So this is why the option is saying that if you understand that there are certain inherent biases regarding empathy, that will definitely improve the policies. Again, wrong. So that is why this option is not correct. Option C, overcoming the empathetic responses towards specific individuals will empower social policies. Again, the same thing means if you are able to overcome the responses towards specific individuals, means if we as people, if we are able to feel empathy towards all the people in general and not towards specific individuals, it will be making the social policies more powerful. The passage is saying that people are not able to do that. People are programmed, or we are more prone to feel empathy for attractive people. It means it is in our nature that we will be having empathy only for specific individuals. See, again, the last sentence, laboratory studies find that we really do care more about the one than about the mass. So this is something that cannot be changed, whereas this option says that if you change that, the policies will become more effective or more powerful. We don't know. The passage is not talking about whether the policies can be made more powerful just by accepting that or just by overcoming the empathy we have towards specific individuals. First of all, the passage is not saying that people are able to overcome their sense of empathy towards specific individuals. So that is why this option is also wrong. Then option D, owing to its inability to connect generally with people, empathy cannot be the guiding principle while devising social welfare initiatives. So owing to its inability to connect generally with people, yes, this is what we say. We really care more about the one than about the mass. So we are capable of having empathy only towards specific individuals, not towards the entire public. So that is why, because of this inability to connect generally with people, empathy cannot be the guiding principle while devising social welfare initiatives. So because of this, empathy cannot be a tool for devising social welfare initiatives. So this is a good option. It is giving us the gist of the passage, whereas all the other options are having some kind of inconsistencies or mistakes, as a result of which they are not good summaries, whereas option D is the best summary available. So this should be your answer. Now go to the next one. All right. So what is here? The key word is casuality. What is casualty? Don't confuse this word casualty with the another word having a similar uh, phonetics, casualty, CAUSALTY. The I is missing there. So that word casualty means any the number of people who die in a particular accident or the injury or war or something like that, or any disasters, they are called casualties. Another meaning of that word casualty is the place in a hospital where emergency medical care is given. That department is also known as casualty. So the spelling is CAUSALTY. The I is missing, whereas this word casualty, CAUSALITY, here it means any specific event or a specific process which gives a specific outcome is called a casualty, or a process or a cause that gives a specific outcome, or anything that causes something to happen, you can say in general, that is called a casualty with the I. So that means CAUSALITY. So here, the what is the passage talking about, it says that many identities appear to be unstable. Identity means the many things that exist around us, they appear to be unstable because of the transformation or the change that they undergo. That means houses will fall apart, eggs can break, plants can die, etc. So because there are certain changes that they undergo, we feel that their identities are unstable. Because of the changes, we feel that these identities are not very stable. But the passage is saying that these objects are simply being affected by causality and are changing based on their identity. So it says that these changes are happening because of certain uh, events or certain processes which result in certain outcomes, and it is on the basis of their identity. So these kind of changes that happen to the identities of things around us are because of the casualities or because of certain reasons, and these things change, but that does not mean that they are unstable. So this appearance of instability is not real, it is just appearance. So these things also are stable, means their identities are stable even if they are undergoing or transforming certain changes. That does not mean that they are unstable, their identities are stable. Only thing is that they are being affected by they are changing because of certain reasons, and then be changing based on their identity. So the identity, as a result of which, identity should be explained on the basis of the building blocks of the entity. So we have to look at the identity not just as a whole of anything. It has to, we have to break it up into its building blocks or parts, and then how these parts are interacting with one another. So that is why the identity of an entity is the sum of its parts. So this is the essence of the passage, means any entity or anything, the identity or the existence of anything is not just the existence of the whole, it is the existence of the components that make up the identity. That is the meaning. So even though the whole entity may appear to change according to certain circumstances, that change is not an indication of instability. It is only that as long as the components of that particular thing is remaining fixed, the identity will be stable. This is the meaning of the passage. Now going to the options. Despite the apparent impression of instability, that means it appears to be unstable, identities of the things present around us are merely changing owing to causality. So despite the apparent impression of instability means these identities will seem to be unstable, but they are changing owing to causality. Therefore, the identity of a thing should be explained as the whole sum outputs of its parts interacting in a specific way to form that identity. So here there is no mistake or no inconsistency that is there with the passage. So it seems like a good summary. Keep it in your mind. Option B, identities of the things present around us despite seeming unstable are usually not so. That means the identities are not very unstable. So this sentence is correct. This is nothing but a delusion created by causality. What is a delusion? Something that is completely imaginary. So here a delusion may not be correct here, because it says that it appears to change, it is changing. So but that change is not a change of the core identity of the entity. That is what the passage is saying. So here delusion means complete imagination. So that word may not be a proper word here, but anyway we'll accept it for the time being. They are best described as the whole sum output of its parts. That is correct. Identity interacting in a specific way to form that identity to avoid this anomaly. So it appears correct, but the last part is wrong. The last part says that the so components of an entity are interacting with each other to form that identity and to avoid this anomaly. What is anomaly? Mistake. So this anomaly means what? The anomaly or the mistake of instability. That is what the passage is saying. Identities are seem to be unstable. They are not so. It is only a delusion, and they are described by the whole sum outputs of parts interacting in a specific way to form that identity to avoid this anomaly. Anomaly means this appearance of instability. So this part is wrong because the passage does not say that the components of an entity are interacting with each other to avoid the instability. No, the passage says that some identities of things are appear to be unstable, but this is not correct. They are stable because the components, the identity is formed by the components. They are interacting with each other. So that is how the identity has to be established. But the interaction is only to avoid the process of or the appearance of instability is not given in the passage. So this part is wrong. To avoid this anomaly part is wrong. So delusion, yes, we can accept it even though it is not correct. A delusion means a complete imagination, whereas the passage says that they are changing. So this is not a complete imagination. Anyway, we will accept it, but this part is completely wrong to avoid this anomaly. So it means that the interaction of the components are just to avoid the mistake of instability. That is wrong. The passage says that instability is not there. It appears to be unstable. There is no instability. So when there is no instability, is there any need to avoid the instability? Absolutely not. So that is why this option is not correct. Option C, identity of many things present around us can appear unstable and transformed because of causal flow. Can appear unstable and transformed means changes are happening because of causality. That is correct. But here, see, the word is causal flow. Causality and causal flow are different things. Causal flow means something that is flowing in a casual or a leisurely manner. It is called causal flow, whereas causality means any specific cause that leads to a specific result is causality. So there is a difference between the word causality and the phrase causal flow. So this is wrong. So that is why this question is a very high level question because of it needs you to have very good vocabulary skills, otherwise you will find this difficult. To avoid this illusion, it is preferable to describe it as the wholesome output of its parts interacting in a specific manner. So again it says that to avoid this illusion means to avoid this appearance of instability, it is preferable to describe it as the wholesome output. Means it is better to describe it as a wholesome output. What is the passage saying? So the identity needs to be explained based on the whole sum of its parts, whereas the option says that it is preferable to describe. What is the difference here? Preferable to describe means it is better to describe, means the description of an identity as unstable is also correct, but the description of an identity as a whole sum of part is a better one. This is the meaning of when you use the word preferable. But the passage says that identity needs to be explained as the sum of its whole parts, means that this is the only method by which identity has to be explained. So if you say it is preferable to describe, this becomes wrong, because the moment you say preferable, it means that both the descriptions or explanations are correct, but the second explanation is the better one. No, the passage is saying that the first the appearance of instability, or if you understand identity as something that is unstable, that is wrong. Identity is not unstable. It has to be explained as a sum of its parts, and hence it is stable. So that is why this option is wrong. Option D, many identities, though appearing to be unstable, are not usually so. So here, many identities, though appearing to be unstable, are not usually so. Correct. They actually are being changed under the influence of effects of some cause. Again, correct, because causality means effect of some cause. So hence it is better if we describe an object's identity as the whole sum outputs of its parts interacting as. Again, the same problem that we have in C. Hence it is better. Means what? Both the explanations are correct, or identities appearing to be unstable is also correct, and identity needs to be explained as a sum of its parts is also correct, but the second method is the better one. The passage says that this is wrong. Passage says that identities are not unstable. They appear to be unstable, but they are not unstable. They are only being affected by causality. They are really stable because of the because you have to understand identity as the sum of all the components that make up the identity. So that is why this is the only way you need to understand the identity of things. whereas option says that it is better if we describe an object's identity as a whole sum of its parts. Again, the same mistake that is there in option C, it is preferable. Same thing, it is better. So this is why option D is also wrong. So you have three wrong options, only one correct option, option A. So option A should be the clear answer for this particular question. Again, this is a very high level question. You need to do these kind of problems or these kind of exercises regularly, only then you will reach up to the level of CAT and other important management exams, because all the important management exams are now asking questions like this, where you need to have a very high level of skill. That is why I'm discussing these questions. Hope you are following. If you have any doubts or if you need further clarifications, please join the WhatsApp group. The description is given in the or the link is given in the description below. You can ask all your doubts and queries there. We will be answering each and every query. So now coming to the third question. Again, slightly tough. What is the meaning of the word antagonism? Hatred. Hatred is called antagonism. So here the passage is talking about how to achieve peace and harmony. Harmony means a sense of uh, uh, peaceful coexistence is called harmony. So or a sense of understanding perfectly with each other or aligning perfectly with each other is called harmony. So it is talking about how to achieve peace and harmony between the genders, means the males and females, and also between individuals. And the first sentence says that it does not necessarily depend on a superficial equalization of human beings, means you cannot achieve peace or harmony just by making people equal at a superficial level. This is the meaning. So it means just for the sake of saying, if you say that people are all equal, that kind of superficial equality between human beings will not be able to achieve peace or harmony either between the sexes or between different individuals. So this is the first idea. And the second idea is, nor does it call for the elimination of individual traits and peculiarity, means and this also does not mean that you have to remove all the individual traits and peculiarity, all the individual characteristics and behavioral specialities of each and every individual. This needs to be removed. No. So the first sentence says that in order to achieve peace or harmony between men and women or between different individuals, there is need not be a sense of superficial equality, nor does it need for the complete elimination of all the individual characteristics. Means people are different, each and every individual will have some kind of behavioral characteristic or speciality in his behavior or some individual traits. So these also need not be removed. It should be there, and there need not be any superficial equality. Then what should be there? It is the problem is that confronts of the problem that we are facing today, and which the nearest future is to solve. That means we will this problem we will solve in the future is how to be oneself and yet in oneness with others. That means this is the keyword. So here you have to retain your own identity. You have to retain your own. At the same time, you have to be in harmony with others. So you have to feel deeply with all human beings and still retain one's individual characteristics. So this is the method to reach harmony, means you should have your own individuality, your own characteristic. At the same time, you should be able to understand and accept others as they are. So while you are able to while you should retain your own individuality, you should also be able to understand and accept others as they are. You should not try to change others according to your preferences. This is the meaning of the idea. And this is the basis on which the mass and the individual, the true democrat and the true individuality, man and woman, can meet without antagonism and opposition. So this sentence, even though long-winded, it is very clear, simple. The idea is this is a method by which men and women and all individuals can live peacefully. Means if people were to live peacefully with each other, they have to retain their own individuality. They also have to understand and accept others as they are. This is the simple meaning. And the motto should not be forgive one another. That means we should not ask for, we should not be aiming for forgiving other person rather than understanding them. So the motto or the idea should not be to forgive another person or to pardon another person. You have to understand the other person. So the simple idea in the passage is, in order to have peace and a sense of harmonious coexistence between different genders, means men and women, as well as with different human beings. What we need to do is not a superficial equality or the elimination of the individual characteristics. We should all have our own individual characteristics. We should retain them. At the same time, you should be able to understand and accept other people as they are. If we are to do that, then we can live harmoniously with each other. And the motto should not be to forgive another person, it is to understand the other person. So this is the meaning of the passage. Once we understand it, the options or the summarizing becomes very easy. Staying in alliance with the society and comprehending others without losing one's identity should be preferred to gender equality while obtaining peace. So here should be preferred to gender equality means it is more preferable to gender equality. Is it what the passage is saying? No, passage says that instead of having a superficial sense of gender equality, this is the method. Whereas it says that it should be preferred means this is a more preferable method than this one. This is not the passage is saying. Passage says that instead of having a superficial sense of gender equality, we should have a alliance with the society and understanding with others. So the preferred to gender equality is the problem here. So this is why this may not be a good answer, because preferred to gender equality means if you have gender equality, that also is a good thing, but the better thing is understanding others and having one's own identity. No, the passage is saying that instead of having a superficial sense of either gender equality or equality between different individuals, we should have a we should retain one's own individuality, and at the same time we should be able to understand and accept others as they are. So that is why this is a wrong summary. Gender equality can be achieved only when people understand and accept each other well enough. So it says that people are able to understand and accept each other well enough, so gender equality can be achieved. So this seems like a good answer. Only problem is only. The word is only. We don't have any sense, or the passage is not saying this is the only method to achieve gender equality. It says that instead of having a superficial sense of equalization between people, equality or the harmony can be achieved only when people understand and accept, and when people understand, not only when people understand and accept each other well enough. So just because this only is there, and another thing is gender equality. What is the passage saying? Peace and harmony can be achieved, not gender equality. Peace and harmony can be achieved when people understand and accept each other well enough. So this also may not be a good answer. People need to excuse others to achieve peace. Gender equality is not a primary requirement. What is the problem here? People need to excuse others to achieve peace. Gender equality is not a primary requirement. Gender equality is not a primary requirement. Correct. That is what the passage is saying. People need to excuse others. This is correct. The motto should not be forgive one another. Motto should be understand one another. Here, this is a direct contradiction. Here it says that we should try to forgive others. Excusing means forgiving. So this again is wrong. Then, retaining oneself in all circumstances is of prime importance when it comes to achieving peace. What is the meaning here? We should retain one's individuality in all circumstances, and that is the most important thing. There is no apparent mistake here, but what is the problem here? This is a good summary. Retaining oneself in all circumstances is of prime importance when it comes to achieving peace. Peace means peace for oneself. That is not the point. The point is when you need to have a peaceful and harmonious relationship with other individuals, either men or women, we need to have a sense of individuality combined with a sense of understanding for the other people. That is what the passage is saying. So here, the retaining oneself in all circumstances is of prime importance. This is the most important thing when it comes to achieving things. Because again, if this is the most important thing, it is not given. So this also is wrong. So where is the right answer then? So these kind of questions also you will get where all the options are having some kind of issues. So that is why specifically I discussed this one. This is a question is a classic example of a question where all the options will have some issues. None of the options will be pointing towards a good summary. So in such cases, what you have to do is look for the options which are having direct contradictions with the passage. That options you need to be eliminated. They need to be eliminated. So here, what is the problem? It is to be preferred to gender equality while obtaining peace. So it is saying that we have to stay in alliance with the society and comprehend others without losing one's identity. It should be preferred to gender equality. The passage says that instead of having a superficial sense of gender equality, we need to have the sense of understanding with others. So this is not clearly a wrong thing, even though it is not fully correct. It is not fully correct, but it is not outrightly wrong. So this may be a good summary. In the absence of any other good summaries, you could think of it as a better summary. Whereas option B, only, the word only, this is not at all there. Passage is not saying that this is the only method to understand peace and harmony. So that is why this is a clearly wrong answer. Option C, again clearly wrong because need to excuse others. The passage saying that the motto should not be forgive one another. So that is why this is clearly wrong. Option D, again, it is of prime importance. That is one thing. And another thing, it is not saying anything about the essence of the passage. The passage is talking about how to attain peace and harmony between different individuals, whereas option is talking only about one's own individuality and how you have to retain one's individuality at all circumstances. It is not saying anything about attaining peace and harmony with other people. It is only saying achieving peace. Achieving peace means peace for oneself. That's not the idea here. So that is why this also is wrong. So B, C, D, and obvious are very clearly wrong because they are directly contradicting what the passage is saying. Whereas option C is not directly contradicting, but there is a small inconsistency here because it talks about preferred to gender equality. Whereas option says that there is no point in having a superficial sense of gender equality, whereas what you should have is a sense of understanding between people. So that is why, even though this preferred is not really correct, all other things are correct. For staying alliance with society and comprehending others without losing one's identity should be preferred to gender equality while obtaining peace. So in such cases, we can take this as a good answer since no other obvious answers are there. So in the first scrutiny, we have removed this option because there was a inconsistency, but all other options are having glaring mistakes. When you have some very obvious mistakes in some options, they cannot be accepted, whereas some minor inconsistency in this option, it can be ignored. So in such cases, the option with the least error should be your answer. So these kind of questions are also being asked nowadays, where there is no very clear cut correct answer will be provided to you. All the options will have some errors, but in such cases you have to select the option which has the least amount of error. So in this case, option A has the least amount of error, so it should be our answer for this kind of question. So I hope you understood this technique. This is again a very important technique that you should remember. We will be discussing more questions like this in the future. I hope you have found the video to be useful in your preparation. Please like, share and subscribe if you have found the content good. Then we will meet again with future with other important questions like this in the future videos. Thank you. Bye bye.